Good afternoon. I am Tony Dottino, founder of the USA Memory Championship and president of Dottino Consulting Group, and here doing my Live with Tony Facebook broadcast on Tuesday afternoon in my 3 o'clock hour. And I just cannot say enough about this Time magazine series that I've been doing. It's the August 17th double issue, August 17, August 24. And I've been several articles in this that are talking about how do we get to sleep better. And what we know is sleep is an important element for us because of how we utilize our sleep patterns in deep sleep to integrate and encode learning and building skills, and has an impact in our memory and our focus on what we're doing in our day-to-day activities. And I want to close up this series by talking about the last article, which I found fascinating again. I found almost every one of these sections fascinating, but this one is the art of storytelling. So this is the art of telling stories. So now we're going to tell bedtime stories. And goodness gracious, how many of you have had either your own kids or your grandchildren, or reading someone a bedtime story before bedtime, or watching kids say, Mom, Dad, Grandma, could you please read me a story tonight before I go to bed? And of course, most of us, using our common sense, are not bringing horror stories and monsters to the kids when we're bringing them a story, but we're bringing a level of calmness and a level of pleasantry. And so here is somebody that's recognizing that we have these different centers in our brain, and we're working to synchronize with our circadian rhythms. And as we see darkness come about us, and we think, and this is one of the things with daylight savings changes, is darkness comes earlier, so should we be going to bed earlier? But as we see the light of the day begin to pass and go about our evenings, do we start to think about, okay, how am I going to start to tone it down and get to sleep? And so here it is. No sounds are found in these sentences, only peaceful, lulling prose. So can you write your own bedtime story, which is, again, another way of enhancing your sleep, which helps your memory, keeps you more focused, and also enhances your creative abilities to deal with the problems and challenges you've got in your life. And I found this interesting in terms of what he talks about in this article about what the environment should be. And it makes sense whether you're writing a story or you're telling yourself the story or just trying to go to sleep. It talks about everything has to be perfect. Now listen to what has to be perfect. The lighting is dim. So do you have dim lighting? In fact, they're recommending no the blue lights that you have in your room, no television an hour before you go to sleep. And so what's the lighting like in your room? What are the sounds? Are there any sounds? If you're living in the city, you may be hearing toots and fire engines and police vehicles, or people still going about at night, or music or somewhere, but there's more and more of these earbuds that are going on with the sounds of nature. And one of my broadcasts I did this past week were about the sounds of nature and the environment, of birds, waves, waterfalls, different leaves making the rustling sound in the woods in nature. So what are the sounds that you're putting around? So we've got lights, or the dimming of, we have the sounds in terms of what we're hearing. So what we see, what we hear, and what we know, our senses are important to us in our memories as well, and then how we're going to calm ourselves down as we go to sleep. No phones. Whoa, no cell phones. We're not hearing text messages. We're not hearing bzz, we're not hearing a phone ring. And boy, isn't it one of the worst things that you can find when you're getting ready to go to sleep and you're in this dozing, I'm going to start to go to sleep, and you hear a text message come in, or you hear the buzz and the vibration of your phone. So no phones in the bedroom. And so we got the television off. We have the phones that we're thinking about and not interrupting us. And the imagination is free to go wherever you'd like to go. So now we got lights, we got the sounds, we've got the elements of what's close to your reach. And what we want to be able to do is have that peace of mind, that calmness, and now we can just dream off about a place we've been, a vacation that we've been off to, some place where, I always go for waterfalls. I can think of different national parks that I've been to where I sit on a rock or I sit on a ledge or just sit in the grass and till the ants get me or till something crawls around. But where can you go put yourself into a state where you can just take the day's challenges and put them to the side and give yourself a fighting chance to have a good night's rest and bring a new day upon yourself when you wake up in the morning, well rested and ready to tackle whatever the day's challenges are they're going to bring towards you. And so the art of storytelling brings me back to one of our memory techniques that we have in the Maximum Memory Mastery online course. We call it M3, where we're talking about the Roman room and how you may remember a list of words, or how you can make stories up in looking at a list of 10 words. And who would ever think you take a list of things in a procedure, or a list of policy that you're trying to remember, or things that you're trying to remember in your to-do list, and making up a silly story about it, and then just kind of laughing about it and being silly and goofy, and then saying, and now I think I'm going to just let my head hit the pillow and I'm going off to sleep. And so storytelling in a pleasant way, in a nice calm way, that leaves you in a state of peace. And where he talks about it, he talks about words. The words we use and the words we think about have the power of creating a soothing feeling before bed, or a calm, as much as sometimes words can create, I hear that word and I get anxious. Well, now we're going to talk about words that we play in our minds that are calming and soothing, and writing about them, and always when we had bedtime stories. The aim is that we may never reach the end of the story. It may continue to go and to go and to go. I know during these times I think of some of the vacations that I've had when I go to bed and I think, oh God, I think about being up in Montreal. I think about being in Alaska. I think about being on a cruise. And I just think about all these wonderful opportunities I've had in my life where I've gone to some amazing places, and just the peacefulness of a mountain trek or a stream or a waterfall. And Dr. Ormer, who's a psychologist, talks about insomnia, doing something calming before bed that's designed to help you let go and take you elsewhere is the best way to prepare your body for a good night's rest. So that is storytelling, and what I just want to do is a quick recap of the things that we talked about over this last series. If you've missed any of them, I would encourage you, especially to go back to the ones on when you're sleeping, the process of sleep and the chemical changes that take place in your brain that purify your toxins and are showing some possibilities of having an impact on Alzheimer's. So the series, I think, was just fabulous. From having sweet dreams and what we do, and how do we... The key is, do you want to sleep better? And not call yourself an insomniac, or not think yourself as being weird, but giving yourself some downtime and breaking some of the routines of getting enough of sleep. And by the way, another lesson then, so downtime, sleep, calm, but realizing not everybody gets 8 hours of sleep and needs 8 hours of sleep. So we have, one thing we learned is what you're doing in that regard is not necessarily going for 8 hours of sleep. Then what is your brain doing during its sleep? Well, it's cleaning out the toxins that you've got in your brain, and purification from the hard days of work, a hard day of thinking about different things. Then what we talked about, the pandemic is changing the way we sleep. Clearly, the amount of sleep we get or how we're going about sleeping, things are more complicated today with jobs and finances and kids and parents and just worrying about so many different elements. So we talked about how it's changing, getting into your own circadian rhythms, okay? How do we get into your own rhythms? And then I enjoyed talking about music. And I talk about the impact that music, a good night's set of music, nothing more than the sounds of music and quieting. And I want to just recommend, I want to get you this book. And I think we're going to wrap this one up today. A book that's coming out of nature sounds, birds, and things of that sort. And now all I do is find, here we go. Sleep Better. Sleep Better from 2018. And it was written by Tom Middleton, and it's Sleep Better. And so those are my tips on the sleep. We're going to switch gears tomorrow. I finally have come to the end of the time series, and we're going to shift gears tomorrow. I'm not sure if I want to do social contacting or exercising and reading some fascinating articles. I've backed up a little bit, but I've not wanted to go ripping past the sleep one because I did find this series in time, How to Sleep Better, to be really helpful and very beneficial to my Live with Tony audience, because sleep is one of the core elements of enhancing your memory, as we talk to you from our Maximum Memory Mastery online course. So until Wednesday in the 7 p.m. hour, we shall see you then. Have a good evening and continue to send me notes and posts and things. My email is adottino, that's adottino. And if I can be of any help to anyone, I'm more than happy to take a half an hour of time with you and see if there's something I can do to give you an assist to something that may make a benefit to you. And that's why I continue to do these broadcasts and providing one new thought, one new tip to each of my Live with Tony audience members that can make a difference in your life. Clearly, the series of sleep was important to you in getting rested and being ready to tackle a new day's challenges and problems and fun. Have a good evening.